Hey everybody, it's Michael Termini with the Game House, and today I'm joined by TSM Solo after a massive W. So I guess let's talk about that game first, because you were playing versus your old team, Golden Guardians, from last year. So I gotta know, is there any sort of good feeling about beating the person who replaced you?
Of course, for sure. Um, I have a lot of opinions about that situation, a lot about Golden Guardians, but I'll just leave it at. I think people can imagine how I feel about that, what I think about that situation. But yeah, I'm happy. It was good, and a win's a win. Regardless of who you face.
Win is a win. So this win actually is huge because I'm pretty sure it puts you tied for the playoff spot, or not, or even maybe guaranteed for the playoff spot. So, this is something that TSM obviously has been gunning for. Do you guys think you have what it takes to, maintain this level and keep getting wins and possibly work your way further up the bracket?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really too worried about making playoffs. I think we're where we need to be. I think the biggest thing for us is just trying to improve every week and compete against like some of the top teams. Um, so I mean, there's not a lot of time to do that. So that's really the hard part. But I'm never really going to be worried about making playoffs, especially with some of the bottom teams.
Mm-hmm. So this was obviously you're thrusted kind of into the LCS from Academy, replacing Soul. So I want to know first, what are your thoughts on Soul? And second of all, what was your reaction to hearing that you were going into the starting LCS spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think Soul's a great young player. He honestly hasn't been around very long, and that's kind of the kind of the weakness for him. I think it's just hard for newer players. I mean, I think they have like a lot of good mechanics and laning, but there's so many things about the game, especially with a lot of veteran players, that they just understand and like fundamentals. And you really just need like reps in like big match or like actual matches, not even just scrims, to really understand like how the game is played.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's just he just needs time, and I think that he can be a great player. Like I think he has like a lot of good raw mechanics, but yeah, he needs time. He needs to work on champion pool, and he needs to work on just understanding like the game and experience. So, but I'm excited for him in the future. And as far as like getting the call, I mean, I'm kind of used to this. It's nothing new to me. So it's really just plug and play for me at this point. Like I'm really easy to adapt and fit into kind of like any team, with kind of the experience I've had, and especially in this type of role.
The broadcast was calling you a mercenary. Sort of someone who goes around, you get hired, you go into the role. Do you think that's an accurate description for you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I get the job done, so that's kind of the whole thing. But I think I can be so much better if I get a full year.
Mm.
Just because for me, like I know it just takes time for me to get used to playing on stage again and playing in matches again. So everyone else is still ramped up right now, and they played a whole split and they're halfway through this one, and so I'm coming in kind of cold, kind of trying to make up the difference. So for me, I know like if I got a full year, then I can be like a top three player in my role easily. I'm not worried about that too much.
Well, that's something I wanted to ask you about because obviously coming off of 2020, you made Worlds with FlyQuest, and then nothing happened. You were signed by CLG for lock-in, and then in that summer that it was Golden Guardians, and then you got signed to CLG Faith as a coach. So I guess I kind of want to talk about these last 2 years. How has that been for you? I'm sure it's been kind of frustrating because you literally made Worlds and then you didn't get a spot.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I think that I've gotten used to it a little bit. I mean, I was disappointed after not getting a spot for Echo Fox, disappointed after not FlyQuest, GGS and everything. Because to me, I feel like I'm performing, especially under pretty like unusual circumstances.
Mm.
But this is what I signed up for. I mean, esports is just really volatile and it's weird. People make weird decisions, so it's hard. I don't really like to speculate too much on like what's going on or why this is happening.
Mm.
I just do what I do like every year, which is just always practicing, coming prepared, so that when I do get a call, like I can come in and I'm not trying to like shake off a ton of rust, or I'm not like unable to perform. And eventually, same thing I told Nick Fan for FlyQuest, like signing me would be like the best decision you've ever made. And I delivered. He got into two finals, got into Worlds. So I try to tell it to every GM like before the year, like signing me is going to be the best decision. I'm like
Uh,
exactly what every team wants if they're trying to like win a championship. So I just hope that resonates with somebody in the future, and we can get into like a good spot.
Awesome. So you've been around for a while, hence why I want to ask this question. So a lot of people have had some strong opinions on the LCS as a whole these last couple years, the state of the broadcast, viewership, all of that. What are your current thoughts on like the overall state of the league?
Um, I think that it's kind of been like a weird period because we've been doing the same thing for so long right now, and I think there hasn't been like that many big personalities rising after like Peter left or Double F left.
Hmm.
So we're kind of like looking for like new faces to the league. And I think with just so much like shuffling going around every year, it's so hard for players or for team or sorry, it's so hard for fans to like really buy into a team and a player because it's like they might not even be around next year or
Hmm.
that org might not even be around next year. So I think for us we just need some stability. I think especially for rosters, like I think rosters should stick together more. Franchises should hold on to like certain players more and like really promote them as being like the face of the player.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, as far as the broadcast goes, like, I mean, they're professionals. They know what people are probably liking or not. I think it's great what they've been doing with the players being more involved because I think that's how you're going to build like personal brands and people being more invested in like people like Fudge or Buipo. So that's a great direction. I hope they do more of that. You know, I would love to be on broadcast. I think it's funny as hell, and you know, I would be super fun to like shoot the shit with people and just like talk about the game.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's kind of like how I feel about it. But you know, I think in a way it's kind of stabilizing a little bit. I mean, it was never going to be as popular as it was like 5 years ago. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of esports to watch now. People can always pay attention to one thing.
All right, final question here, a bit of a fun one. So, yesterday on broadcast, Fudge ranked you as tied for the second worst top laner. So,
Oh,
now I want to
really?
know,
That's
where do you rank Fudge on the top laner tier list?
wait, what was the list at the bottom? Do you have
Uh,
the list?
oh god, I wish I had the full thing.
I for
He put
second
Philip
worst. So I'd be like,
surprisingly high though. Philip was above you. I'm pretty
that's
sure you're
funny.
tied with
Well,
Licorice.
didn't he just play against him and he ran it against Philip?
Yeah, so but he was number
I
one
mean,
on
he
his own
kind of
list.
got.
So
I mean, Fudge kind of got ran by Philip because he's just playing his lane so bad. So, I mean, I think how where would I put Fudge or just like in general?
yeah, where would you put Fudge on a tier list? Like what spot?
Fudge to me is like such a weird place because the way he plays is like good. Like when I play against him, I don't feel like he's really pressuring.
Mm,
But I'm like, wow, this guy gets every CS, and he's like not really like he does like a lot of fundamental stuff well. But I wouldn't really say he's like a strong laner in the sense that when you play against him, you feel really pressured.
mm-hmm.
Um, because I think there are like a couple guys in the league that it's like you play against them and it's like, whoa, you can barely breathe. You know, he's always trying to scrap with you, and it's kind of hard to you got to like really match that energy.
Mm-hmm.
But Pudge, it's like you can basically just farm against him. His strength is just he's really good at farming. Like he's really good at hitting CS, which sounds weird, but like I've talked to a lot of players in the league about him and been like and had this kind of point, and they've thought about that as well. They've been like, wow, yeah, actually Pudge just like hits CS really well. Like I've
Yeah.
never seen someone just get every CS, not really be phased by like any type of trading. So I mean that's his strength. I think like he's definitely one of the better people, but I don't know. I've never really felt like he's like killed it or anything.
All
But
right.
he's a young player, so I mean, so kind of sad.
Fair enough. Well, that's all I got, man. Thank you very much for coming on, and make sure to check out thegamehouse.com for more LCS interviews. Thank you for checking out the interview. We have some channel updates. If you don't care, feel free to click out. I don't mind. But hey, the number one thing I wanted to say is thank you for all the feedback. Over the last couple weeks, I received some very honest, very blunt feedback about the professionalism of some of the interview stuff, and it is taken, and I genuinely appreciate it. I was recording in my bedroom. My bed is literally just a bed and a weighted blanket. That's all I use, but it looked really crappy and it looked unprofessional. So it has been heard. I have moved all the stuff to a new room. It's still a incredible work in progress. I want to, reduce the echo. I want to have better lighting. I have a new webcam, but it still looks crappy because there's really bad lighting. So once all this is sorted out, it's going to kick ass. And I really appreciate anyone who has given us feedback, whether it was nice, mean, cruel, anywhere in the middle. It is genuinely appreciated because that is what makes a channel better. Speaking of better, though, and increasing the quality of our content over at the Game House, for our coverage of Worlds 2022 and the LCS Summer Split Finals, we should have a Blackmagic 4K as our camera for that event, which is a absolute killer camera, and it's going to look great. So hopefully the interviews that come out of that are super crisp and super good. So thank you for all the feedback. We genuinely appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Game House for more LCS interviews.